But despite the fact that conditions were not equal, in order to take ownership of democracy, we did our best to focus on what was right within legal boundaries, of course. Those who advocated a yes tramped on legal principles, but we very diligently wanted to confine ourselves within the realm of legality and within the realm of law, and that's how we campaigned. Dear members of the press, constitutions are social contracts. And I also emphasized this message at every speech that I delivered during the trail, because constitutions are ours. They cannot belong to one family, one segment of the society, or one single person. The Constitution is the constitution of 80 million people. That's why constitutions are social contracts. That's the message that I emphasized. This referendum revealed one thing, one fact, which is this. At least 50% of the public has said no to this constitutional change. And therefore, this constitutional amendment and the constitutional itself cannot be a social contract. It has lost such equality because of the fact that half of the electorate has said no. And now that we are faced with this fact, I think politics needs to assume a very important responsibility. As politicians, we need to turn the Constitution into a bona fide social contract. This is going to empower Turkey, both internally, both domestically and internationally as well. Now, I see it as a duty to make this plea as the head of my party. I believe that it is my responsibility to make this plea. Dear members of the press, the rule of law is of utmost importance. Parliaments legislate, and those pieces of legislation is binding for all the citizens and all the institutions of that country. And if you do not adhere to the law, then you cannot talk of the rule of law in any given country. Now, dear friends, I would like to say a couple of things about the Supreme Election Council. And I am saddened to say that the Supreme Election Council has made this referendum contentious. You might wonder why. Based on what? Very openly, unequivocally, let me read out the piece of legislation, relevant piece of legislation, Article 98 of the law on elections. All the ballot papers must be sealed and stamped by the Provincial Elections Directorate. If not, they will be null, void and null. They would be invalid. And this is the legislation, Article 98 of the legislation. Let me read it out again. If the ballot papers are not sealed by the local elections directorate, they will be deemed invalid. But the Supreme Election Council made a decision, and today they said that these ballot papers would be valid. Why, I ask you? And similarly, Article 101 of the elections law on elections, let me read it out to you verbatim. If there is no seal at the back of the ballot paper, again, let me read it out again. If at the back there is no seal of the council of the ballot box, the ballot papers would be invalid. And again, the Supreme Election Council today said that these ballot papers would be accepted. So here's my question to the election board. Our citizens fulfilled their duty. They went to the ballot box. They cast their votes. No objections regarding that. No objections regarding the outcome of the referendum. But no institution can see itself above the parliament. They have no such mandate at all. And by the way, the law is, the articles are quite clear, and there's a directive that is based on this legislation that also says that these unstamped papers, ballot papers, would be invalid. But based on the objection of someone from the ruling party, you change this, you circumvent this rule. How come are they seeing themselves above law, and they are rendering this referendum contentious as a result? And they have no such right. When you are playing the game, halfway through the game, you do not change the rules of the game, do you? It is a universal principle. This decision by the Supreme Election Council, halfway through the game, they are changing the rules. And this is in contravention with the legislation that is in place in Turkey today. We do not find this correct, and in no way do we accept this. We respect the decision of the nation. However, the Supreme Election Council has cast a shadow on the popular vote, on the decision made by the nation. From a legal point of view as well, from a social point of view as well, it has rendered the validity of the referendum. The Supreme Council, Election Council has done this, not the citizens. It's an institution, Supreme Election Council. They have rendered this referendum illegible. Now we are discussing the referendum, and I think this is totally unacceptable. We are a great nation, and we need to be strong, both domestically and internationally. That's what we want. And we need to be empowered by our legislation, by the rule of law, and institutions should abide by the relevant legislations. If there's a mistake that is made, you see how it makes the referendum contentious. A wrong decision that is in contravention with the legislation has rendered this referendum contentious, and we are going to follow this up until the very end. Thank you so much. Thank you very much indeed.